Abigail. I'm a master's student, my first year at KU. And so for our project, we were told to interview a scholar with who we kind of resonated with their work or we just found it really interesting. And so I picked you because of your article on Blackpink, which I thought was super cool, and I got to read and present it to the class. So
Thank you. So that
yeah.
that one was actually not an article or anything. It was just a paper I gave at a conference. Um,
Mhm.
I'm kind of in the process, like right after that presentation. So Brad was at in that session and he watched my presentation and afterwards another like another a senior scholar came up to me and was like, "Hey, I'm working on an Oxford Handbook of Global Music Industry Studies. Do you want to contribute a chapter?" And so I'm like turning that paper into a chapter for an Oxford Handbook now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that you were working on that chapter, and I was actually going to ask you about it a little bit later. But I kind of wanted to just start with you introducing yourself and maybe some of your background and yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm Tiffany Ta. I did my undergrad in piano performance at Cal State Long Beach. So I'm born and raised California. And then I did my master's in music theory at KU. And now I'm doing my PhD at UC Santa Barbara. And yeah, my research interests have broadened greatly. The more I've learned about music theory as a field, the more I've kind of learned the possibilities I guess there are within the field and it's not just all Roman numeral analysis of Beethoven, Mozart, and Bach. Um yeah, so I'm yeah, technically I'm a music theorist and I'm also working on an emphasis in cognitive science. It's kind of like a minor at UCSB. And so yeah, I'm like really interested in like music and cognition and stuff, but mostly I'd say I'm just interested in people. I'm interested in
Mhm.
culture. And so I think my research is really just studying people and culture through and especially communication through the lens of music.
Cool. Yeah. So what motivated you for to switch from piano performance to a theory perspective of music?
Um, well, first of all, I'm just way better at theory than piano. Um, like maybe yeah, like a year, like partway through my undergrad, I realized I think I want to switch to like theory or musicology. Um, but I realized that like the practical side of playing music, I think, is also really important to a well-rounded like education in music.
Right.
And you can't really teach yourself how to play. I could like read all the musicology and theory and ethnomusicology like articles as much as I want. And yes, professors are helpful in guiding those readings, but um but it's not as necessary, I think, as playing a piano, playing an instrument. You
Right.
need a lot more guidance. I think it's not as intuitive.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, so when you were in your undergrad, did you have like the specific topics that kind of showed you that, oh, this isn't just Roman numeral analysis or Schenkerian analysis? Oh, sorry. Um, that showed you, oh, maybe I could explore different aspects of this.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm not just okay. So my undergrad, like I was working on piano. I was like trying really hard to be like a really good student and just like practice all the time and just like um and just be like the best pianist I could be. But I kind of felt like a lot of my efforts were not were kind of wasted because my
Mhm.
teachers would always like I was never getting like the same kind of praise as like a lot of other students were.
Mhm.
And like I was like playing like a lot of like I would often get the comment like, oh, it's a bit too robotic, and like just like do more like rubato and more like expressive timing. So I would try it, but like it was never really right. Like it was, I don't know, like the way I played um with the in terms of timing, I don't think like I would always get the comment that like it wasn't right. Like it was like too much, too little. It just didn't fit the style of music. It doesn't make sense in this place. It makes more sense there or whatever. Just like so I was like really frustrated because it's so abstract and it's so hard. And so I just started Googling like music and expressive timing. And then I realized that uh music cognition is like its own field.
Mhm.
I had no one ever talked to me about music cognition before. So then like I just went into like like a week of just like just Googling and like finding podcasts and like videos of people talking about music cognition. And then I realized like music cognition, like people who are doing the types of research that were interesting to me were also music theorists. And
Mhm.
like a lot of music theorists, all like almost all of them start with performance.
Right.
So I was like, wait, it sounds like a lot of people are already like going through the exact thing I'm going through right now. So yeah, then after that I just dove headfirst into music theory.
Cool. Yeah. Um, you were talking about that, well, the frustration with performance, but did you feel like theory was kind of a way that you could express your interests and stuff? A lot of people say that performance they can express themselves. And I'm a performance major, so I get told that a lot that I need to express myself. But sometimes I feel like within research that I can kind of find my own niche. Do you feel that being able to, I guess, explore people's ideas and your own ideas is more of a way that you're able to express yourself?
That is such a good question. Like, that is a really good question. No one's ever asked me that. But like, yeah, it makes total sense. I don't think I did at first because like the first couple of years, like in grad school, you're like I was just trying like this field has been going on for a really long time,
Yeah.
and like I was like just starting in, and like I really needed like time to like really get used to the field and like get like who are like the main players, what are like some trending topics, what have been the trending topics over time.
Mhm.
um, but so like at KU, I think I wasn't really sure. I didn't really find that, although I did like my master's thesis was actually I did an experiment. It was a music cognition study.
Mhm.
I replicated a study that someone did about um expectations of like how a melody, like based on what came before, how the melody will continue.
Mhm.
I replicated that experiment, except all my participants were autistic.
Oh,
Um, because I'm autistic and I'm like, oh, I think I was trying to just find out more about what autism is or means, or like, because it's widely misunderstood and it presents so differently in every person. I wanted to see if like autism, because there's we have a lot of like sensory issues, if that might like affect our perception of music. I
hmm.
didn't find anything interesting, but but I think it was a great practice run for like, you know, my dissertation. And then when I got into UCSB and I started here, um like that was like I got into K-pop in 2021, so it wasn't that long ago. And it was just like happenstance, like completely random, wasn't expecting it, just like it just came up on my For You page on Instagram. And I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, like, and it was Blackpink. And I was just like, like immediately sucked in because like, I don't know if, well, okay, like for sorry, I'm not sure where to start, but like there's like a kind of stereotype of Asians as like being like a model minority, like kind of like perfect student, like prim, proper, quiet, submissive, obedient, like the perfect kind of like model citizen, model student, model whatever. And and we're expected, and then Asian women in particular are expected to be quiet and not really contribute their voices, just kind of do as you're told, like have kids, like just I don't know, not really be your own person. Just be and do whatever others expect of you. But then like Blackpink were just like not like that. They were like wearing like clothes that are, pretty different from like what I've like been trained to believe, like conditioned to believe like this is what's expected. And like they're like just like so fierce and like they're like so fierce and powerful on stage and like so like unabashedly so.
Right,
Like they're not apologetic for who they are. And that just like it was like really empowering for me to see people who look like me being and like showing off a side to them that I was kind of like kind of I guess kind of embarrassed
mm,
to show off. Like I am like a strong, independent, like woman. Like I have that side to me, but I've always been like afraid to like I guess show parts of me if it meant breaking that mold of what people expect from Asian women.
right,
So, yeah, so I guess you can kind of see it's like a natural, like where the feminism part comes in. Like
right,
it means a lot to me. So yeah, being able to like express that through research, um, it is like a creative outlet. That's like, yeah, a really good way of putting it.
right. Cool. Yeah, um, when I was reading your paper on Blackpink and I was thinking about the different cultures that we have here with our Me Too movement, and then in South Korea with the 4B movement, which is
Mhm.
kind of making its way over here now.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
uh,
After the election, yeah.
after election, it's really become like
Yeah.
a no, we need to adopt that.
Hmm.
Um, So when I was reading that paper, or part of my presentation was to kind of have two groups discuss and argue the sides of, are they the feminist revolution, are they not? Just to get everyone kind of discussing and getting that out there. And something that was brought up was the fact that their their um the rights that the women have in South Korea are very different than what we have. So we're going to be at different levels of interpretation. So what we might be viewing as, well, is that really feminist, to them is like a really big deal. And so we were trying just to think like, well, how are they impacting their audience? How does that incorporate into their overall persona? So what do you think, like how of an impact do you think they're giving the teenagers, the young girls that are watching them and seeing them take more responsibility and more ownership of their own identity? How do you feel like that's impacting just their audience as a whole?
That's a really good question, and it is like one that I get a lot. Have
Mhm.
you heard of the term purple washing?
No, I'm not.
It's like the act of um like okay, like Blackpink and like other female artists, a lot of times they can be like kind of overtly sexual and like with the clothes they wear and like kind of like the dancing, like twerking and like certain lyrics and stuff. Um
Mhm.
and like in the name of like this is feminism. But then there's like a point at which it's like, is it really feminism or are you just like being sexy to sell?
Right,
Um, and I'm not sure there's even one right answer.
right,
But like in Korea, it's not possible for like when I situ like if this was America, yeah, I think there'd be a bigger um support for maybe like, oh, Blackpink is purple washing. But when you situate them in Korea and you look at how like impossible it is to be openly feminist and like how openly at large South Korean society is anti-feminist, like their their president right now is like he became president in large part because he is anti-feminist. He
Mhm.
blames feminists for everything, like the low birth rate and just like he's taking away all these research resources for like sexual assault survivors um and victims and just like you just can't be openly feminist. Like there was, I don't remember if this was in the paper, but there was like one K-pop artist who had like a picture of her phone case that said girls can do anything and she was
Right.
immediately canceled. Like you can't even say girls can do anything. Really? Like
Yeah.
like like Blackpink could never get away with like with a more explicit feminist messaging.
Right.
The only way they can be heard is to become disarming, which is like maintaining those conventional beauty standards and just being like cute, sexy, pretty, like whatever, like because then people will just think, oh, it's just entertaining, and they won't have to like be like, oh, it's just, oh, it's another feminist, like it's another feminist song, it's another this or that, whatever. It's just like they're trying to manipulate us into like, I don't know, whatever. Um, like yeah, sure. Like maintaining those body standards can absolutely be, I think, a double-edged sword.
Mhm.
Um, but so can everything.
Yeah.
And like, if this is like what they have to do, then this is like I don't see any other way that they could get that message across at such a huge scale any other way.
Right. Yeah. Something that a lot of us agreed on was there's never going to be, well, hopefully in the future one day, but right now there's not a end all be all to all of the problems. So it's not like
Yeah.
they can solve the feminist issue
Yeah.
just by themselves. So yeah, just being able to kind of push the boundaries a little is help in its own. So
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Exactly.
with that, you were talking about earlier the topics of theory. So queer theory and feminist theory is starting to become a larger role in music theory. Have you noticed that shift over your time studying from a male dominated field to now there is more aspects and perspectives coming into play? And what do you like? How do you think that's helping? And what do you think we could do more to further that?
Ooh, yes. Okay. Yeah. So this is like I just came from like I was just at the SMT conference and then the AMS conference. Like I saw Brad at SMT.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, that people are definitely talking about that exact thing. Yeah, like there are like SMT has like subgroups called interest groups and AMS has subgroups called study groups, and like they both societies have a group for feminist studies and a group for disability studies. um Definitely changing, although I haven't been in the field like that long. This is like my fifth year, I think. um so I can't like personally, like I haven't personally witnessed this, but like all my professors are saying like the field at large is like so different now. Like conferences are so different now. Like
Mhm.
sessions, like every session has a certain topic or theme or whatever, um and they're all like there's just so much more pop music and feminist studies and queer music than like I don't know, Beethoven and Bach. I think my
Right.
first like few years of SMT, like there was like so much Bach and Brahms and Mozart and Beethoven. It was like I don't know, like 80% that crap. Sorry, not crap. I do still love that music. I think that music's always gonna be like home for me, but like
Yeah.
they've had their turn. Let's
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, what more can be done about it? Um, I don't know. I think it's like clearly improving year to year. And I think if we just keep doing what we've been doing the last couple of years, I think that's great. And I don't really, I mean, maybe it'd be cool to see like kind of like diversity, maybe like or not as in there are like already diversity resources and like funding and stuff, but specific maybe awards for like the people doing the research, like neurodivergent people or like people who are like specifically in feminist studies or something, like to like specifically reward that
Right.
research. I think that could be, I mean, nothing nothing motivates and incentivizes people like money, right?
Yeah. And I think just kind of elevating their success and
Yeah.
kind of giving it a place to stand on the platform alongside the Brahms and the Beethoven
Yeah.
analysis, um, gives it a great way to just, "Oh, look what else is happening." Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we need more, because I
Yeah,
feel like
absolutely.
there's
Hmm.
almost a stigma with music theory that it's like,
Hmm.
Roman numeral analysis, Schenkerian analysis,
Yeah.
cadences, but there's so much more that you can gain from it other than what is this chord?
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
way, way more.
um, do you have any particular artists or composers or even theorists that you like to follow or that you are a fan of their work in a sense of embodying a feminist ideal or even just a diverse ideal and like a new way of looking at theory or performance?
Um, Theory or performance? Um, like I'm not sure if this exactly answers your question, but there is like um a scholar who's not a music person at all. Um, her name is, wait, it might be in the paper, Space Invaders. Who
Space.
are? That I can't remember if that part was, I think it was Nirmal Puar. She's got a book called Space Invaders, and the term is meant to describe people who come into spaces that weren't made for them. And
Mm,
and especially when they achieve very highly
mm,
in those spaces. And so I think I'm really into research about the underdog.
mm,
And I don't know, like probably because I've always felt like one.
yeah,
Because yeah, like I'm obviously Asian and a woman. I'm also like first generation American, first generation college. I'm neurodivergent. Like I've always felt like the system has
yeah,
worked against me. And I'm like every day I feel like, and especially when I was in Kansas, like I really always felt like the outsider in the room. Like there were so many times I was like the only person of color in a room. Um, so I think I'm just really interested in uh that little niche of like social life. I think I think I'm just really, yeah, I think I'm interested in researching the underdog, probably to research myself.
yeah. Um, Kind of circling back to your time at KU, you helped co-found the Asian Classical Music Initiative.
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about what that is, what the goal was with that, and also maybe what inspired you to start that and Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's a cool question. Yeah, I haven't like talked about acne in a while. It's still going on, but it started because like I started KU in fall 2020. So that was like, I had like it was like George Floyd riots. It was um Stop Asian Hate. And like and I had just moved to Kansas and I was like, I'm like the only person of color anywhere. And like Um, and like, I mean, there were other Asians at KU, but they were all like international students. And like, there's like Asians and then there's Asian Americans. Like, yeah, we're like similar in a lot of ways, but I'm like somewhere halfway in between Asians from Asia and like just I don't know, white Americans. Um,
Right.
yeah, so, and there was just like, and like my dad personally was assaulted while I was in Kansas. So and just like seeing the news, just being like bombarded every day with like Asian hate crimes. Um and then so I was talking to my friend Elaine. She did a vocal DMA at KU and she had this idea for Acme. We call it Acme. And yeah, I think it like because we were like both really frustrated with like everything that was going on, and we wanted to do something, but like we're not like the aggressive confrontational type. So I think like Acme was actually a kind of a silent protest in a way. Not exactly silent because
Yeah.
but it's a different kind of protest, a more peaceful kind of protest, like a more subtle protest. Maybe it was kind of a subtle, like the way kind of Blackpink is resisting and protesting feminism in their
Yeah.
way. I think Acme for me was kind of like that.
Yeah. So, what did that organization like? What did you guys do? Did you have not activities, but like events or something just to kind of get that conversation started?
Yeah, we had our first conference, I believe it was in 2022. That's when I graduated from KU, and it was like pretty big for a first like it was all of our first time organizing a conference, but we had like 60 people and it was like people from like New York, like Miami School of Music, like USC, UCLA, Stanford. We had someone from Australia. Someone else came in from like Belgium. Like it was
Wow.
crazy. Like especially for our first time, like it was insane. But like Elaine, the co-founder, then the president at the time, she is just like amazing with people and she's really good at getting money. And she we were like sponsored by like Coca-Cola and stuff. Like
Oh,
yeah, she was able to find us so much funding and sponsorships. It was amazing. So yeah, the conference was over I think I can't remember, 2 or 3 days. And we had a bunch of like recitals, brand new works by living Asian composers, recitals of Asian composers, recitals by Asian performers, like lecture recitals. We had presentations, like paper presentations, about like either like Asian music, Asian composers, or Asian performers, whatever. It was just like we're just like wanting to make sure there was like space for anything to do with Asian music.
right.
Um, and yeah, it was just like a great time.
Cool. Yeah. So what challenges did you guys face when you were doing that? Whether it's challenges with amplifying the Asian and Asian American voices or just getting it I getting it off the ground running and in a tangible sense.
Probably the not like administrative, but like I don't, what would you call them? Like the higher ups in the music department, like the chair.
Mhm.
Then He was like very white male oblivious type and
Mm,
and uh and he would like say that he was anti-racist and stuff, but his actions and words did not reflect that at all.
mm,
And basically, we didn't have any, I don't I think we felt like we didn't really have real support from the department. Like there were like a couple of like professors here and there who like, me and the other organizers knew and were like closer to, and like we knew that they were doing that kind of work on their own
mm,
already. But we were not like people, I think people were so, I don't know, burned out by all the DEI kind of talks and initiatives and all these Zooms and stuff that like when it, I don't know, they just, I don't, they, I don't know, they just didn't really seem to care that much. And
mm,
like the, the, the chair did, I can't remember if he was the chair of the music department or the dean. But he did come to the conference for like one recital, or like I think maybe actually only half a recital and then left. Like he took a picture, went to half a recital and then left early.
mm.
So it was like kind of that like he knew that he should go and like just show his face for a second because it'd be a good thing to do, and like people would say nice things to him for showing support, but
Right.
then he left like really fast.
Oh,
So it
that's,
wasn't real support.
yeah.
But part of me kind of thrives on that, I think, because like that's all I've ever known.
Mm,
It's just like not getting support and just fucking doing it anyway.
yeah. Um, I kind of want to shift the subject just a little bit
Sure.
to talk about your presentation on the Extraordinary Attorney Wu, and about the music representation in that show. Could you kind of give a brief overview of that before we go into it?
Yeah. So that paper was actually a term paper that I wrote for Janet Bourne. She's my advisor at UC Santa Barbara. She's a music theorist and music cognition person, and she and Brad are really good friends, by the way. And so it was a class that I took with her about film music, and one week was about topic theory. And she assigned to us a chapter that she was writing about the childhood topic. And then when I was reading it and like looking at the list of musical features, I was like, it just happened that I was watching that show at the exact same time. And I was
Right.
like, wait a second, like every single one of these features is in the theme song. So, and it was just like perfect timing, and I just like put it all together. And so that show have you yeah, basically it's about an autistic lawyer. She's 27 years old. She's a prodigy, absolute genius. But the theme that represents her is just full on from top to bottom childhood topic. And so it was the just this like constant like what's it called? Infantilization of
Right.
autistic adults that I was bringing attention to.
Right. Um, so when you're working with things like that show or any other topic, how do you navigate the intersection of the popular culture and music theory in that aspect of your work?
Um, I I think I make just like really obvious observations first. Like, hey, this music uh sounds like it's for a kid, but it's for an adult. And then I just like use music theory to um like the methodologies that music theory like other music theorists have already laid a foundation for. I use their methodologies and modes of thinking to like explain basically how I came, like how I realized these things and like also like, support my claims and further develop them.
Right.
So like I can more specifically like point to like this is why it sounds like a childhood topic.
Yeah. Have you found other like examples or other instances where maybe neurodivergent individuals are displayed with that innocent or naive um, character through the music
Through the music,
or through any
I
other like aspect?
yeah, like I've like looked at other autistic characters, but let's be honest, they're usually male
Yeah.
because autistic research is all almost all male. Like for a long time it was all males. But and like yeah, those themes are not as like characteristic of the childhood topic. They'd be more in line with the genius topic. So I'm
Mm,
like that's on my back burner of papers to write.
that's interesting too.
Yeah, the marked distinction in musical representation of autistic adults between male and female. The women tend to be infantilized and characterized as children, and the males tend to be characterized as geniuses.
Hmm. That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, do you ever feel like when you're kind of tackling these less discussed topics, do you have like any pushback or any resistance from people that are like, maybe don't go there, or yeah, okay, maybe that's not what we should talk about? And if you do like have those challenges, how do you work around them to get your voice out there?
Hmm. I have had questions about K-pop artists appropriating hip hop, and yeah, it's an interesting question. I think. Well, first of all, I first took it very like personally, but there was a music theorist I was talking to, Victoria Malloway, who like I brought it up to her because I was like so disheartened. I was like, are people like my research has nothing to do with the appropriation. Like hip hop is part of it, but it's like not the main thing. Like, why are people even asking me about this? And she said like it probably is not personal at all, but a lot of people aren't into K-pop and they don't know anything about K-pop, but maybe like the one thing they've heard about is that K-pop artists appropriate hip hop. And they
Mhm.
just want to ask you a question, and that's the only thing they can draw from, so that's what they ask you. So that yeah, so her saying that made me feel a lot better and it does make a lot of sense. Um and so when I get that question, like it's still hard for me to answer because it's like
Yeah.
kind of two parts maybe. First of all, K-pop is not the only genre has that uses hip hop by far. Like every new every like genre of music has some like hip hop influence or
Mhm.
like jazz is black music, but like non-black researchers aren't getting like shit for researching it or like non-black musicians aren't getting shit for playing jazz. Like so like why pick on K-pop? But also like let's say let's say like it is wrong for people to appropriate hip hop, which I don't think is really the right word for this
Mhm.
for how K-pop artists use hip hop. Um I like I don't have like the perfect answer now. I don't know if I ever will be, but right now my stance is kind of like I'm not trying to apologize for it. People are like, and it's not for me to say whether or not their use of hip hop is ethically, morally right or wrong because I'm not part of the Black community. It's not for me to say. So all I want to say with my research is just describe like the operations behind the music and also describe its reception, how it's perceived by people, how it's changing culture, because absolutely it is.
Right. Yeah. I think that's great. So I kind of want to close out by talking a little about you and what you have coming up and going on. So moving forward, do you have any? I know you mentioned the Oxford Handbook. You have that chapter that you're working on. Are you able to kind of say a little more about that? I know you were saying it was a based off that paper, but can you say a little more about that or?
Um, yeah, it's so that paper is going to be a lot less analytical, or that chapter is going to be a lot less analytical because that's what the editors are asking for, because the intended readership is not music theorists, like trained music theorists. Um, and so it's going to be less about feminism, but that's gonna, I think, like it's gonna be more like the roles that like in the functions that hip hop has served K-pop artists through the generations. So there was like because first generation and then second generation and then K-pop was third generation and now we're in the fifth generation
Mm.
and hip hop like K-pop itself has evolved throughout the five like throughout all the generations, but hip hop within K-pop has also evolved, like how it's been used, how it's been um the types of things that it like signifies or expresses and like why the reasons for it. That's I don't know if I'm really answering your question because I'm kind of behind on that chapter.
No, I get
But
it. It's
uh
just
so yeah, so there's that. But then I'm working on an abstract now. I'm hoping to or I'm gonna submit it today and I'm hoping to present this new paper at um the International Association for the Study of Popular Music, IASPM. So that's a conference I presented the paper that you read last year. And then this year it's going to be at USC. And so I want to present like a new paper, and it's going to be about the role of classical music sampling in K-pop.
oh, cool.
Yeah, kind of
Yeah,
follow-up, but kind of on the other end.
yeah, cool. Kind of intermingling your both of your backgrounds, yeah.
Mhm.
So how do you hope that your work will impact the field of music theory or music or anything in the future?
I don't have anything like very concretely like I want this to do something. I just want people to think a new thought. Whether
Mm,
or not they agree with me or disagree with me, it doesn't matter at all. It's just that the conversation needs to keep going.
right.
That's it.
Yeah. Um, and do you have any other projects or topics that you're kind of hoping to delve into a bit deeper in the future?
Yes. Hopefully, if everything goes well, this year I'm going to pass my qualifying exams and advance to candidacy. And then this time next year, I'll be hopefully running a music cognition study in Janet Bourne's lab. And it's going to be about if ever like this is the plan right now. Okay, this is just preliminary. Janet, I haven't designed the okay. You're getting like the very bare bones of like the tiny seeds that are probably gonna change a lot, within the
Yeah.
next year. Um, but so K-pop, obviously it's exploding all over the world. It's, a hybrid of Korean and English, but clearly there's a lot of Korean. And obviously most of the world doesn't speak Korean, but that has not stopped K-pop from exploding. And
Yeah.
people are always saying like you don't need to understand Korean. You don't need to understand the language to understand the vibe.
Mm,
So my question is, what is musical vibe? And like I have thoughts like, I've heard people say like vibe speaks louder than words.
mm,
So I want to like pursue that question and find out more about like what do people mean when they're talking about musical vibe? because it's so vague and just
Right.
like I just at the very least want to get like some parameters. Like I have some ideas of what people mean. Like I think a lot of time it has to do with like groove and rhythm and meter, but then there's also like genre. Like people might say like this has like a hip hop vibe, that has like a soul vibe, or um I don't know, like even if I say like that this song has like a blue vibe, like just a color,
Color.
you would have like a totally different idea of what I mean versus like that song has like a red or a pink vibe, right? Like totally different. Um, so that's what I want to do.
Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. Once you're done with your is it a DMA or PhD?
PhD.
Okay, once you're done with that at UC Santa Barbara, what are you planning to do or hoping to do?
I am hoping to get a postdoc fellowship somewhere. Um, like my first choice would be like USC because I want to stay SoCal because I am SoCal born and raised. And like most of my family is here, and also private schools have more money than public schools. And
Right.
I'm so tired of being poor, Abigail.
Oh no.
I'm so tired of it. So ideally it'd be USC because they'll pay better. But yeah, like I'm probably like my plan is to apply to a bunch of different postdocs. Um, like UC has like on every campus they have this President's Postdoctoral Fellowship. And if you get that, then you're um uh you might also get like another level of postdoc fellowship, which is the chancellor's, which is
Mm,
like really, really, really rare, and you can't apply for it. They just like pick like a few, like three people for this fellowship. And if you get it, then you're automatically guaranteed a tenure track job at one of the UCs. So
oh, amazing.
that would be fucking like amazing dream come true. Like for me, that's my American dream.
Yeah, that would be incredible. I'm
Yeah,
currently in a class about higher ed, and we've talked a lot about how to get tenure and how to do this and this. It's like,
yeah,
so
yes,
that would
yeah.
be incredible.
Yeah,
Um,
I am so okay. Like I heard this quote from Kim Kardashian, and I'm not like a huge Kardashian fan, but I love this quote. And she said, I did not get this far just to get this far. So I
yeah,
think about that every day, and I'm like, that's so true. I'm just like, I'm so fucking tired and I'm so poor, but I'm also so determined. Like this, I'm not done. There's so much more I want to do and can do. But like I want to just like last year I did okay, so I'm in my third year. I just started my third year. And like in my first 2 years, I've already presented at 8 conferences. I've been invited to write a chapter for the Oxford Handbook. I won a speech competition at school. I won a teaching award, and I've only taught once at UCSB for 1 year, I mean. And like so basically I'm just like I'm trying to make it as impossible for them, like impossible to say no to me. Plus,
right.
I did all the like diversity stuff, you know. I'm Asian, I'm a woman, I'm first generation. Like I'm neurodivergent. Like, please just hire me. I swear I'll do a
Yeah,
good job.
you have an incredible lineup on your CV, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
I'm doing my best.
yeah. Well, your best is pretty good.
I'm like,
Uh,
thank you very much. I'm like, I'm very interested in you too because like you seem to connect with my work. Like I'm sure I would be interested in like what you have going on too.
yeah, so I'm my first year of flute performance masters.
Ooh, okay.
Uh, and I'm originally from Arkansas, so still in the area, but like 6 hours away.
Okay.
Um, so I was really interested in your work though, because my mom is Korean and my grandparents are from Korea. She's a first generation Asian American.
So
And so
you're half.
I'm half.
Okay, I was wondering that. I was like, there's something I can't put my face on or my finger on it, but your face looks kind of Asian.
Yeah, my brother he got more of the like physical features than I did, but I have grown up hearing about the things and seeing things that my mom has gone through and that my grandma has gone through and even my brother has gone through to an extent. And so I was kind of drawn to the Blackpink side. I was like, "Oh my gosh, hey." Um, and then when I was reading your bio, I was seeing the stuff about neurodivergency, and I took a course in my undergrad about music and cognition, and I got a certification in special education for music. So that's also just an
Oh,
area that I was super interested in. So I was like, "Ah,
yeah.
I want to talk to her. I want to be her friend."
Oh my God. Yes, I would love to be your friend. Absolutely. Are you on Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
What's your
It's
handle?
Abby, ABBY, short with two R's. Super creative.
Mine, okay. Wait, so you prefer Abby over Abigail?
I've kind of gotten to where it's either. My undergrad, I was for sure Abby, but at KU, I'm kind of more Abigail. So
Yeah.
I don't really have a preference. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What's your Instagram?
I just sent you a friend request, so
Oh,
or I mean a follow request. I'm old. I still call it friend request because of Facebook. Do you know how old I am, by the way? Did Brad tell you? Okay, I'm 35.
you look amazing. Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you.
Okay, I think we got it. Yeah. I got it. My undergrad degree was in flute performance, music education, and music theory. And so, because I was indecisive and couldn't just pick one of them, um,
Wait, say that again?
a flute performance, music education, and music theory.
You did a triple major?
Yeah,
Oh
but they were
my
all
God.
music related.
Okay, but
So,
still, like, oh my God. Like, I still contend to this day that the busiest people I've ever seen in my life are music undergrads. Because you have to, like, all the ensembles, theory classes, history classes, you have like studio every week, and then you have to like practice and practice and practice and practice and practice. Like, and you have like performances coming up and just like like three majors is insane.
yeah, I regretted it at times. And then I finished it and I was like, okay, yeah, no, it might have been worth it. But I did honors, and so I had to write like an honors thesis for them.
Wow, you're
But
amazing. You're my hero.
oh my gosh. No, I don't know how I faked my way through it, but here we are.
Maybe you didn't fake your way through it. Maybe you just did it and did it well.
Ah, okay.
That's amazing.
Thanks. Yeah. So you were like an inspiration when I was reading about you. I felt weird. I was like, felt like I was stalking you, trying to find all these things. But
Oh, no, I mean this is cool. It's kind of because I still feel like I am still a student, so I'm constantly stalking scholars. And like um yeah, it's like it's interesting for me to like kind of like be in this transitional stage of like moving from student to like scholar. I don't know, like I don't know, that's all of a sudden I feel very shy. But and very just flattered, I think.
yeah, it was great to get to meet you and talk to you. Thank
Likewise.
you so much for agreeing to do it.
Yeah, of course. This is awesome. This is like really cool to like connect with someone and like know that like and like really know that this is worth it. Like
Yeah,
just like this is like, research and like writing and stuff. It's exhausting and it's tiring and like you never know like is it worth it? Like is this beyond like getting a job? Like is this helpful to society? And if at least one person says yes, then that's like enough for me to keep going. So thank you for that.
yeah. I think it's hard a lot of times, at least for me, when I'm doing like research and stuff and I'm very much in my own head and then I turn the paper in and I never like get I get feedback from the professor or whoever I'm presenting it to, but it's like, okay, I turn the paper in, I'm done with it. Oh, now what? So
Mm,
it's I can see it's nice to like have human interaction in regards to the work and the effort you've put in.
Yeah,
Just that validation. Yeah.
absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. I'm happy to give you validation any day.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. If you ever like having a rough day, need some validation, need a hype woman, I am here. Just send me a message on Instagram. I'll be there for you.
Same. Well, thank you again so much. Um, it was so nice to meet you, and best of luck in all of the things that you're doing because there's so many of them.
Thank you. Good luck to you too. It sounds like you don't need it at all, but yeah, I'm really excited to see, I don't know. I hope this was helpful and just yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited to see what else you do in the future.
thank you. Yeah, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.